So you're good. You don't really need to transform and stuff, or whatever it is this franchise dues. Dues? Really? Oh, they paid their dues with Bay. Come on, man. Anyway, real Nerf Fireman here doing liaison work, and last of it, keeping an eye on Retro's room so that you can finally get around doing a full review. And are you done? Yeah, kinda. Just been a while. So before we get to the review itself, let's get to this. Retro Writer Transformize! Henshinize. Yeah, can you tell I never grew up with most of the toys growing up, and yeah, don't really have that much affinity for it. And since I got a Power Rangers Hasbro figure here, yeah, seriously, Hasbro, are you still gonna do a show? What's going on with the Playmates deal? So, any Tokyo fans, let me know in the comments down below as always. So, yeah, I think I got it from here. All right, cool. So, that's a weird mashup. You were literally in the Marvel vs. Capcom Fest, mate. And you don't have to tell that to everyone. Anyway, look, I gotta go to the Impossible City with the Avengers. We got a Hyperion threat still, and Aurora sends her best for you guys since you're technically an X-Men. How do you guys say that in X-Going? It's a whole thing. That's magic talk. Okay, well, I'll figure it out with more to everybody later. And with that all being said, yeah, good luck with the rest of that Agatha All Along review. So yeah, I might be here for the wrap up with I don't know, the season finale. So yeah, Avenger out. You know, he's gonna have to do the flight pattern a little bit better than me. Yeah, it kind of figures. Also, Rakondo's here as with liaison because there's still a chance that live action crossover is still happening, right? More or less, but we don't really know on that one night. Figures. So, with that all being said, before we get to the story itself of one Optimus Prime and one Negatron, let's go all the way back to their days as Orion Pax and D16. Long story short, this is my review for Transformers 1. So, let's get to how I really feel about this movie. I've had a history of not reviewing Transformers movies here, unless you saw last year's review for Rise of the Beasts. And with really good reason, because, well, Michael Bay. Look, saying his name is kind of like the Deathly Hallows, or, by the way, since we're here, also, my condolences to, Harry Potter fans with, one of the teachers from the show, from the series, who just recently passed away. She's a legendary actor. I think it's Maggie Smith, if I got her name right. As always, news for that down below. So, wish I had time to do Moment of Silence, but Blonde's out if you guys still care. And as always, fuck TERFs, because, yeah, J.K. Rowling is not the franchise anymore, and I want to make sure of it like everybody else. Having said that, back to franchises that have also been ruined by problematic people. Transformers! So, yeah, not the smoothest transition, but, yeah, getting to the movie itself, on one's case, it's actually good. You get basically a good amount of time dedicated to the fall of D16 turning into, obviously, Megatron here, played by Brian Tyree Henry, played masterfully better than, I guess, what Frank Welker could normally do with this character. So, again, a little sacrilege for some of the old G1 fans. I could kind of see where you're getting at. As always, I must remind everyone here, I grew up with Beast Wars, not as much G1 lore. I remembered watching Armada back when I was a kid, and I almost tried reviewing, I think, the Netflix adaptation for the G1 lore. You guys knew that was under, I think, animation by Rooster Teeth before they got shut down earlier this year. So, again, go to my previous videos for that as well. Having also said that, Chris Hemsworth being Orion Pax going into his later years, best known now G1 lore-wise as, obviously, Optimus Prime himself, is actually pretty good. He's not as cocky as you think he would be. He's got the optimism down, but doesn't really got the leadership as well. And enough hasn't really been said about Keegan-Michael Key's Bumblebee. I said this last year with my Rise of the Beast review, that Beast should be talking, and before you say, well, don't you regret it now that he's doing that weird Badassatron joke one too many times? Honestly, it's the only joke that's only annoying. There's actually decent, like, physical comedy, physical humor, especially with Orion and D16 over here when they were going into, I'm not kidding, the Cybertron equivalent of pod racing. So for prequel heads out there who loves those years of Star Wars, you're getting fed there with that kind of, like, action sequence. So that's pretty cool there, too. As for, basically the origin side of Cybertron, it's actually more dense than I thought it was. I highly recommend going to either Kind of Funny or, TJ Omega's videos, in the review side of things for Kind of Funny, and obviously TJ Omega for the toy side of things, to give you more of a backstory for, like, Sentinel Prime, the Primes leading up to the Cybertronian War when it comes to, and the formation of, obviously, Autobots and Decepticons. This is more dense than I thought it was, and they did it in, like, 104 minutes than Babe would ever do for 2.5 hours. Again, let that sink in, if anything else. As for the celebrity voice cast, I don't know, it's hit or miss. Again, also, Bae also has a legacy of just underplaying, celebrity voice casts as he got. Most of them were from Oscar-worthy movies. I forgot the Coen Brothers era of, like, getting actors. It was a weird time, trust me on that. Yes, and ironically, one of them did survive Bae. Talk about him. Right, what's there to say about Mr. Hello Kids himself, Steve Buscemi as Starscream? This is gonna come as a shock. It's not bad. Look, Buscemi has had a history with the live-action side of, Transformers under Bae, but ironically, it's pretty good. It's the same amount of, like, evil, lacking, Loki, if he was just, like, a secondary villain kind of stuff. I guess to put it in Power Rangers terms out here, it's like, Eclipto or a lot of, weak, ish, like, second-to-last generals that got to actually be the main guy when, I guess when the 80s, animated movie was happening at the time. It's basically that. He always wanted to climb to the top kind of stuff, and essentially, now having lore that he used to be, like, I forgot the name of I'm sorry, a high guard, like, Cybertronian kind of, like, guardsman that always helped out with the original Primes, gives him more depth and more radicalization to why he wanted to be ride or die for the Decepticons later in life. And, essentially, I do like the proto, Transformer designs. I don't know if they're figures yet. I'm pretty sure they are. This is basically their codless forms. There's a whole backstory to that. And I, for the longest time, thought Sentinel Prime was played by Homelander himself, Anthony Starr. Yeah, this is how much I was underselling, I guess, even following the news of this movie. It's John Hamm, and I can't believe I'm saying this. It's way better of a portrayal angle than I think the late Leonard Nimoy tried to do in, I think, Dark of the Moon, way back in the live-action movies. Again, I could pretty much sing the praises for this movie in particular, but when you get to their final transformations, when you get to them finally being their canon G1 selves, also, since we're talking canon G1, no, Megatron doesn't turn into a gun, if you remember the 80s cartoon. No, it's just tank mode, and honestly, I grew up with him more as a tank mode later in life than I probably ever will with the, the gun stuff. So, pretty much, you still have remnants of the big gun stuff. You still have remnants of, like, most of their weapons and abilities. The only celebrity voice actor that everyone's hit or miss or 50-50 with is, I think, ScarJo's Alita. I think Alita 1. Long story short, she's not RC because she's later in, I think, Gen 2, if I remember correctly. We're reading the lore. Just about, mate, and we may or may not have had crossovers with them during the IDW comments, and honestly speaking, I should have been here last year for Rise of the Beast, since we're here, and I really wanted to do action figure therapy jokes. Sorry, guys. That being said, that's kind of how I feel about the movie in general. It's refreshing. Like, yes, Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast were close to being as refreshing, mainly because you don't have Bae as your director anymore, and it does help, and it does show. And yes, this series is still produced by Bae, but I think for the first time in a long time, people are dialing back on whatever Bae is asking for in the producer's front. And yeah, if I have to suffer just celebrity voice actors doing a pretty okay job for G1 lore representation, it's better than nothing. Unless, of course, since I'm now here in my final reviews, yeah, Brian Tyree Henry and Chris Hemsworth are doing decent modern adaptations of both characters. More so on Brian's side when it comes to Megatron. Like, you could see the descent, you could see he was just a worker kind of miner that didn't want to do much, and then just seeing him just slowly turn into the villain that we know him later in life is pretty heartbreaking if you're a kid coming into this fresh for the franchise. It's pretty much how it is. So with the dehension out of the way, or power down! Yeah, I'm cross-referencing a lot of franchises here, mainly because Hasbro's gonna Hasbro. However, that being said, final ratings for Transformers 1, it is, for the first time in a long time for this franchise, a strong 8.5 out of 10. There is hiccups, I'll agree, on the Bumblebee side of things. However, I'm keeping my score as is, because, again, I still have a talking Bumblebee that's still, bubbly, humor kind of stuff for the kids, but, again, it's still better, and B used to be a MVP for toys, so I kind of see why, Paramount had to keep it as is. With that all being said, yeah, this is a great movie for the kids. I know it's going to be a little weird to say that this is a good kids movie from a Transformers movie of all things, but it's actually not bad. It has enough lore, it has enough bonding moments. If you're like a guy that grew up with the original cartoons, you and your kid can basically like talk shop about like G1 lore when they get older, and it's actually not bad as it sounds. So with me, of all people, recommending a Transformers movie in the year of our Lord 2024 aside, yeah, go to this, honestly, really good wallpaper art, I'm going to be honest, with the stare down, to my end cards for my previous video, which was obviously talking about Agatha All Along to do video review catch-up. Next week is going to be full, Batman lockdown mode, mainly because Joker Folio Duel is coming out, and I gotta catch up with, Penguin, so yeah, I'm gonna be back. I'm coming back. I'm doing the John Wick thing. Is it working? No, Jason, it's not. It's not working at all. Yes, and go to my confused self for his short playlist for, speaking of people actually coming back proper, John Wick himself, the Baba Yaga, talking about Belladonna for the quick 60-second short for that trailer, along with also Retro's quick thoughts on Thunderbirds earlier this week. Yeah, thanks to this assist for Kanto. And with the knowing is half the battle, that was Retrokid reviews. And yeah, as much as I want to talk about A's Ranch franchises, I'm pretty sure G.I. Joe lore quotes are going to probably get demonetized. Oh, come on, really?